Good morning, and good morning. How are you doing? How was, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, and today is Wednesday. How's this morning, and how have them other mornings been? My mornings have been good. They've been good. It's getting warmer, which is, that's my thing. Let it be warmer. The cold weather and me just do not agree, and I've been having trouble with my eyes because it gets so dry in the house. So I've done a whole bunch of all kinds of these little things, these little valves here to try to get the eyes right and get the right amount of lubrication in them. But for some reason, it's like bugged me out lately. Good morning, Joan. How are you? Yay, yay, yay. Debbie had been away, so she's supposed to be coming in again this morning. So we're looking forward to seeing her. She had gone home to New York, the area that I'm from as well. And so we're looking forward to that. But anyway, we want to talk about our Macgyver persona, because I think many of us have probably not realized that we had this whole idea of being able to do a lot of stuff that we had never thinking that we knew how to do. But when we're faced with it, all of a sudden we can do some things. Good morning, Big Mo. How are you? Good to have you in the space this morning. Today we are talking about MacGyver. And because I remember it and watching it, I said, oh, I'm going to read a little bit about it. So let me put on my little glasses here about who MacGyver was, because the word is now in the dictionary. So at one time, you had to look up, creative, inventor, this and that, all the other words, but now MacGyver is in there. And it talks about the gentleman that played him, which was Richard Dean Anderson, was the MacGyver. And it said that his nickname was Mac, and that he had a secret occupation. That's us. Sometimes we don't even realize that we have secret things going on. Good morning, Maurice. It says the secret occupation was that he was an agent. Sometimes we don't even realize that we become agents, not that we wanted to be, but that we were forced to. It said that his family was Ellen Jackson and James McGaver, excuse me. And it said he had children in the play, and but his notoriety was that he was a Mr. Fix-It. No matter what, he figured out how to do it. And it says, the protocols for MacGyver is known to be the processes as a genius level intellect. Ha ha. Aren't we sometimes intellectual? It says proficiency in multiple languages. Now, I can't tell you that. At one time, I was pretty good at Italian. Not anymore. And it says that also they were superb engineering skills, excellent knowledge of applied physics, military training in bomb disposal techniques, and a preference for non-lethal resolutions to conflicts. I'm going to say that I'm probably there, non-lethal. I don't want to hurt nothing or anybody. It says that basically MacGyver works for the fictional, it says the fictional Phoenix Foundation in Los Angeles, which is the original series, was an independent think tank. Many of us, we don't even realize that we are think tanks. We have a lot of information that we've held on to, and we bring it out when it's necessary. That makes us a think tank. And it says that MacGyver, the original series, went from 1985 to 1982. So, when I had my daughter, I remember, watching some of these shows and thinking, wow, could any of us have such an idea to be so capable? But we are capable. We are capable. We may not have, the kind of or the level of required skills that he had, like doing, behind the scenes, Secret Service, all that kind of stuff. We didn't have that. We don't have that. But the idea that we fix whatever we can fix when it's necessary. I was upstairs the other day and the sink was stopped up. And usually I call in a plumber and I'm thinking, nah. Mm-mm. So I went to the store and I got one of those long It's almost like you reel it in. I put that thing out there and it took out whatever was in the sink. I'm good. I'm good. Sometimes we just have to figure out how to do things ourselves. And in the process, not only do we save money, but we save time and we build up our capability to step on out there again on whatever else comes our way. So today, our word is MacGyver. Do you have a MacGyver spirit or a MacGyver personality? I think I do. I think I do. How I do. If you think you have MacGyver spirit, put an M down in there and say yes. And MacGyver is spelled MAC, capital GY, then it's VER, MacGyver. And it says MacGyver, which is now in the library, and in the dictionary, it says to make, form, or repair something with what is conveniently on hand. Bam. Okay. Whatever you have, you're going to make it work. The table keeps rocking. You go and find something that makes it level. The refrigerator, sometimes my refrigerator gets all messed up and I'm figuring out, okay, what I have to do. Well, after I called the folks 3 or 4 times, I finally figured out that some of it had to do with how the line was laid in. So we worked on it. So, okay. So Maurice says he has one. Joan says, yes, she has it. Okay. All right. Good morning, Cheryl. We're talking about ushering in our MacGyver spirit, our ability to take on things, even if we didn't think we could do them. We just figure it out. Or we get somebody else that we might be, close to, married to work it out for us. But they have to come with it so we can try to save money and save time. So MacGyver talks about how the spirit of MacGyver says it's going to be jerry rigged. Jerry rig says it. Whatever way we're going to get it together, we're going to get it together. It may not be the right way, but it's going to work. It also says throw together, patch together, assemble, and put together. How many of have done that? All of us. We've done it with something. I've had it where people call me at the last minute and say, hey, Sandy, can you help me do so and so and so and so? And I said, well, I have some of that stuff. I'll figure it out and I give them what works. And you never know. It ends up being seamless because the audience or wherever it was going, it wasn't that they were looking for anything. It's just they get what they get. They get what they get. So when we break this word down, when it says God will make a way out of no way, you better believe it, Maurice. He will. And sometimes we don't even think that we have it in us, but he already instilled it in us that we would come across this threshold of needing to cross over into something that we didn't think we could do. We didn't think it, but guess what? He knew it. He knew that we would have to do it. So I agree. So I'm going to ask you this morning, have you ever been stuck on a MacGyver moment? Okay, I have. I think you have too. Meaningful, yes, absolutely. Debbie, good morning, Debbie. Debbie's here, y'all. We're so happy. We missed you last week. We didn't know what happened. I was worried about that you were sick with your sciatic. So I'm glad that you're doing good. I'm so pleased. But anyway, when we break this word down this morning, the word, you say, whoop, whoop. The word today, Debbie and everyone else, is MacGyver. To make, form, or repair something with what we can conventionally have on hand. That's why. So they took it down from us having to be, speak multi-languages, work in any area of the world, making things up from a company that doesn't really exist. We're talking about real stuff here. Mother, what you say? Most mothers, you're probably right. Absolutely, you were probably right. Most mothers have probably had a MacGyver experiences and a persona all through their lives. I truly believe it. My mother could there were a lot of us, but my mother could make a meal and everybody ate, everybody. And I would always say, well, how she did that. And no one left hungry, everybody. And if you wanted seconds, she made it available. And, so I do agree with you. Now, my mother would pass down clothes and that kind of bothered me because some of my sister's clothes were too big for me, but she'd make it work with belts and strings and all kinds of stuff. And I do admit that I went to school looking kind of, as she called it, Dolly Biden, but I made it through. Um, and for me, that's probably one of the reasons why I love clothes so much, is because I remember those that experience. But mother is good. For my M, which starts this off and breaking the word down, I have to make. When you make things, you manufacture things. Excuse me, you're forming something that wasn't there. Wasn't you putting things together? It says putting parts together or combining substances, which means that you're constructing something. You're being creative, you know, or a maker. That's good too. I mean, we think about it. We assemble foods, and sometimes it says, well, I don't have enough of this, but I have this. I'm going to substitute this time. Many of us have tried recipes and realized that we didn't have all the ingredients, and we make up the rest. Nobody knew it. You may have a different taste, but it still tasted good. It works. So to make something says that you will construct it, you'll build it, you'll assemble it, you'll manufacture it, you'll form, you fashion, you create, you produce. I love that word, produce. There's a mode that you take on with it. You make it into a certain shape, and then you make a mold, MOLD. I've seen people take stuff that didn't exist and make, use cardboard to form, huge and beautiful scenes in plays. I have a girlfriend that does that. She does it with styrofoam. If you ever came to any of our pink teas, which was about cancer, the tea to raise money for cancer at our church. I would always be amazed which was great at Little Rock Baptist Church. I would always be amazed because that she made a teapot that was huge out of styrofoam. And it had, the lid on it, and it had a table that it sat on, and just a whole bunch of wonderful stuff. And every year we hung it. Well, somehow or another, it got destroyed. But she promised me a couple of months ago she would make another one. So we hope to start that back up again. Maybe next year. I have to finish out the year of the other stuff that I'm committed to, but I'm going to see if I can get back to that. So when we move further on in our word, the A in Macgyver, so it's M for make. I have is assemble. That's what we do when we make things. We assemble it. It may be a beginning, a middle, and an end. It may be a left, center, right. We're doing something, that putting something together. And Debbie wrote assemble. She's always with me. But assemble is to fit together of separate parts, as in to make it from a machine or into an object. It says, once again, we're constructing something, we're building something. There's fabrication to it. It's meaning that we're making it where it's erect. It's going to stand up to whatever that the occasion is. We set it up. It's a question of uniting parts together. Admire, yes. I think when we're looking at who we are, we sometimes look at admiring things that other people have constructed. Accountable. Ooh, that's good. Making things that we are accountable for. Many of us probably have created stuff, and we take no account for it, but it was good. But we're humble enough where we may not say anything, but other people know. And let's see, alternative. Yeah, that would be good too, because you think about it, you're making something that wasn't expected, but you're making the alternate. You're giving something else that might be even better than what was originally thought about as to how it should be assembled. When we assemble, it also says that we're looking at piecing things together and sometimes patching things up. How many of us have patched things up? Yes. Till we get the fix, till we get the fix. I had a leak a couple of weeks ago, and I had to get somebody to patch the leak on my sunroof in the back of the house. They did it, but eventually, guess what I had to do? Put in a whole new roof. So that's what I'm working on. When we move further on the word of Macgyver, my C in Macgyver is to create. That's my C. What would your C be? Create. Bring something into existence. Wasn't there before. You created it. So therefore you became creative. Cautious. Ooh, yes. Sometimes we do have to be cautious on what it is that we step out on. Sometimes we can be really fearful of trying something only to find out that once we tried it, we could get it done and we do it well. you know Sometimes fear will make us not try things, but I agree. Courageous, cautious, those are all good, Debbie and Joan. Those are very, very good. For my create, I said we generate things, we produce them, we design. There's fabrication. They're built. There's a design behind how it's all assembled together. It may be something that's totally originated, or we're just fixing up what has broken, until we can get it, replaced. Sometimes it says that when in our creation, we are actually the inventors. We didn't realize we had that capability in us, but we do. We do, and we change. Oh, Debbie, that's good. Change and ceramic. Yeah, that's good too. Change, ceramic, and caress. Those are all good because we just look at things differently from the way they originally appeared and said, we might be able to improve on this. How can we do it? Sometimes just by trying, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. And it works. It works. I think many of us that have been given tasks, we don't have we go into it thinking, I had some hesitation about me being able to finish this, but then the finished product is what Maurice alluded to earlier. The finished product is whatever was given to you. For me, it's God. For somebody else, it may be whatever else forced them to be able to create something. It says we can't rush the creative. We cannot. That's good. We cannot. We cannot. Sometimes it may take us a little longer to get something done, but when it's done, we can admire it. We can admire it and be certain. That's right. That's good, Joan. Sometimes we have to be certain about what it is that we're going to do. Create also says that we invent, devise, develop, and shape. When we think about how we look at the whole Macgyver process, we're looking at the fact that we're stepping outside who we think we are or who we know ourselves currently at that time to be. And then all of a sudden here we are. We've invented something. One thing a lot of you don't know about me is that I'm a private songwriter. So one of these days, I'm gonna let out some songs, and you say, "What? Where'd you get?" Been doing it for years. Same thing with poetry. I used to write poems all the time. I know Joan is also an author of poetry, who loves poetry, loves to both read it and write it. So sometimes our creativity is our Macgyver, but we don't understand it because we may be too busy to tap into our Macgyver. Too busy, too many things, too many obligations. And so we stay on the side of over there instead of the side of here. Here says I'm present, I'm in the ready, and I'm going to do. Most of the time I'm going to stay in their presence. I'm going to do for them. I'm going to do what is necessary that they need. So because we have a tendency to put others first, I know I do all the time, that sometimes service becomes service to them, but it doesn't serve you well all the time. You have to take time out to yourself and come up with these Macgyver moments that just says, I can do stuff for myself that I'm proud of and I can see. When we move on, the capital G in Macgyver is for generate. How do you generate something totally new to you, even though the replica or the piece of the replica may have been there? I think when I lived in Italy, I was so impressed with what I saw around the world. Yes, we have beautiful monuments here in America, and I've been fortunate enough to get to many of them. The Golden Gate Bridge, the Statue of Liberty, the Washington monuments, all of that. But when I was in Rome and I was in Greece, I was absolutely teary-eyed because I said, wow, look at these monuments that were created. They were created with an idea that someone came up with, that an outdoor amphitheater and beautiful, what I would call, you know, statues that said the sunsets and the early morning risings of the sun would be beautiful, and the moon at night. I saw Greece at night, and I was just taken aback. And then actually they did a program too. So in the with the background being all of those beautiful monuments, you also had a play going on in the presence of it. And we were in an amphitheater, so we were sitting on the rocks watching all this happen. So create is good. So generate talks about the cause. Get what gutsy. Ooh, what you say, and genuine. Those are good. Generate says cause something, especially an emotion or a situation, to occur, to arise, or to come about, meaning that we can see cause, we can see the rise, we can lead into it, we can bring it about, we can produce it, initiate it, spawn it, or be the originator of it. We can originate it. I mean, to me, that's probably that big G says, wow, that says a lot about who we are as individuals when we are in the mood of creating stuff. We are the generators, the one who came up with ideas that was beyond what was there or had never been thought of, you know, in terms of that whole idea of being creative, generating, you know. And let's see, we have genuine and gutsy. When we move on in our word of Macgyver, my Y is for yield. Sometimes in our process of generating and creating and assembling and coming up with ideas to make things, we have to pause and yield to what it is that we need to do, taking an assessment of what has been done. What do we need to do to correct it, or do we need to totally do away with it and start all over? So the yearn, everybody came up with your 2P came up with yearn. I have yield, produce or provide a natural industrial approach. That's what yield says, you know. And it says basically it says outturns, produce, bring in, supply, accrue, furnish, and blossom. Yield is a bad word. That's why whenever you hear that somebody says that they yield something, there's the yield meaning to pause, or there's the yield meaning to assemble and put together, to supply and produce and to blossom. So the word in this instance could be doubly used for both sides. The idea that the idea came, but I have to think about it first. And now the idea is there. Now I have to form how I'm going to produce it. What supplies do I need? How do I accrue it? How do I bring it about? What will the outturns be? Perfect. It's perfect. You know, it's a perfect setup for the whole word of Macgyver. You know, we move further on in our word and we come up with versatile. To me, to be versatile, that means you putting yourself in a position of able. You're able to adapt or be adapted to do many different functions or activities, period. We don't even realize that we have this versatility to us until we're faced with what it is that we have to do. Vulnerable is great, to be vulnerable, because sometimes that's what makes us come up with our versatility, is because we become vulnerable. There's no one else that can get it done. It's us. We are it. You know, sometimes I find myself, you know, just in a mode of concentration and how will I put this together, and I'll get a pen and a piece of paper and start just writing down stuff. Vested is great, Cheryl. Variable, all these are all good. Valuable, all them V's, 3 V's, all good. Variable, vested, and valuable. You can't go with wrong with those words, because they certainly fit into your versatility of being able to create what you didn't think you could do, or what you're faced with needing to do. You know, sometimes if you find it now that not every time something breaks down in your house can you call somebody, and since the pandemic, they do not come very quickly, and then they come with a very high price. Okay, veteran. That's really good because that means they're seasoned. Thank you, Debbie. That means if a veteran comes, they're seasoned. And we become veterans at once we keep doing things over and over and over again. We become veterans at it. We become experienced. We become experienced. Visible. Ooh, love it. How visible. Or sometimes we stay behind the scenes, and what becomes visible is what we created. There's a lot of people, they don't really want the recognition. They don't want the visibility, but yet and still they created it. They were the Macgyver behind what happened. And it becomes wonderful. So anyway, when we talk about this whole business of versatility, it talks about being able to adapt in many different functions and activities. Cheryl, you're on this morning, girl. She is. It says, therefore, when we're versatile, we're adaptable, flexible, multi-talented, resourceful, adjustable, convertible, and modifiable. Okay, all those bulls are good. All of them, every single one of them, because we don't realize that we're much more capable than we may have been, than we may think of ourselves. Much more, and probably could save ourselves $1 here and there, and time here and there, because you can waste time waiting on people to come. And getting back to the repair people, I had called one time, and they said, oh yeah, we'll be there on Tuesdays, and they set the date, and then they put a note out, oh, we got backed up in our previous appointment, so we won't be able to come now to Thursday. I said, don't come, because the problem I'm still faced with. I'm still faced with the fact that what's wrong is wrong. So your not coming hasn't done anything for me, nothing at all. So sometimes we have to look at what versatility does to us. We may have to try something else. We may have to try something else. And I don't want to hire anybody that's going to break it further than what it is. Because sometimes I'll break my spirit in trying to get it done. That happens too. It just does. It does. When I move further on in our word of Macgyver, my E is for erect. I mentioned the erect under one of the other words earlier. So erect really talks about you're going to construct something, and says it could be a building, it could be a wall, or an upright structure. I've had a couple of friends who eager. Yeah, we need to be eager. Thank you, Joan. I've had a couple of friends who are retiring or retired, and they said their joy is rediscovering how they can change their house and feel like it's totally a different place than what they were living in before. Totally having fun, doing things that make sense to them, erecting things, painting walls, putting up new pictures. And that's what we can do to change how we feel by changing the environment we live in. I've been on this thing of trying to clear out, get rid of and done pretty good, but I still have more to do. And now, since I'm getting older, I tell you the story. I'm getting older, so I'm trying to look at making a downstairs master suite. My only fear, it's because I'm from New York, so my only fear is that my house is big enough for somebody could be living up there and I not know it. So I make fun of it, but then again, I'd have to get over that fear, or just come up with some other systems that had the upstairs covered. But right now, all I can think of is what I don't know. But anyway, to erect things, we talk about, oh look at all these. Enjoying, yes, Debbie, enjoying, edifying, energy, yes, giving you new energy, emotions, effect. Get an elevator. You know what? I looked into the elevator, but the elevator was so darn expensive. It's like, what? Because the house was built so long ago, Debbie. So long ago. And then I think about the hurricanes we have, and I could be stuck in the elevator for hours on end. Wouldn't that be horrible? God, please. And I could see it where it doesn't have an emergency exit. Come on now. And I'm in between floors. Are you kidding? I don't know about that one, Debbie, but I did check into it. I have a friend that put an elevator in his house and he said he loved it. So you get that chair that runs along the rail as up goes up and down. The problem with that too with the electricity, because we were one of the storms we had, we were out of electricity for 12 days. Okay, 12 days being stuck. The only thing I could do, and I was much young too, but the only thing I could do is that I could cook anything because I have gas. But in regards to, and it wasn't cold, obviously it was warmer climates, so I really wasn't worried about that part. I wasn't, in fact, you had to worry about being too hot. A generator. Oh, now that's good. I need to get a generator. There you go. So I'm gonna look into that, but the chair ain't gonna work and the elevator, So I'm probably gonna do that putting that other room on, but I have to think about it. But anyway, you guys are wonderful this morning. This is so much fun. So anyway, when we erect stuff, it says we build it, construct it, put it up, fabricate it, put it together, and then we fix it into position. So I need a new fix up for my area. What about y'all? Y'all need any fixing being done at your house? And are you the ones that can you do the fixing? Sometimes I've had friends who said that they didn't realize, or their husbands didn't even realize, that they could do a lot of stuff until they stopped working for other people out in town. Or that's when they discovered. It says create more equity in home with downstairs suite. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. And the thing is that, this house is paid for. So, I mean, it's not as if I'm crazy. I just looking at how I can do it. I'm looking at how I can do it. And I don't like owing anybody too much. So, there's a little streak in me that says, well, I got rid of certain cards years ago. I mean, I still have them if I absolutely need something, but I don't put anything on them. And if I do, just to keep them, I put it on and pay it right off. So, I'm trying to do better. Okay, I'm at my last letter. My last letter is the R. And the R is for to raise up from what it is that we used to do to all of a sudden what we may have to do, and then ultimately that we can do. So raise is to lift or move to a higher position or level. That's what we do all the time when we redefine. Thank you. Rational. Yes. Yes, Joan. Yes, Debbie. We rationalize how we can do things, and we become rational about the way that we can get it done, so thank you for that. Be reasonable. Absolutely. Sometimes we have to be reasonable about the way in which we approach things, and everybody knows I don't make quick decisions. It takes me a long time for me to make a decision about certain things, how I need to go about it. And it needs to be realistic decisions, right? We need to be realistic about how we change things or approach things in our Macgyver moments. And so raise up says that we will lift up, uplift, elevate, hoist, and uprise. So when we look at our lives, many of us have probably done things we never thought we could do ever. And rest. I love it because you do have to eventually rest. Sometimes the rest is what gives you the resolve on how to go forward on your approach. So I agree with that. And rewarding. Yes. We have to figure out what is the reward of us fixing things, taking on things that we didn't know we could do, and then ultimately, getting the result that we want. To me, that's a reward. That's a reward. The fact that you're comfortable, you're back to feeling, there's protection in what it is that you have and what you want in terms of your home or your life or your, it could be that you're working on projects outside of your home. No problem. Okay. Sometimes that's what we do. And sometimes we do better outside than we do working inside and on our own things. But the idea is that we would look at the Macgyver opportunities that we have and become efficient. We have that capability. We can do it. I'm serious. We all can do things that we've never done before. We can be fearless about it, or we can start off hesitant, but to me, as we move forward, the hesitancy, the reluctance, the fear, the frustration, they disappear each step we take, as we figure out where we're going. And redeem. Yeah, Debbie, that's a good word. Regroup, redeem, reward. Y'all are wonderful today. Reasonable, realistic. I tell you, this has been a great session. I've been trying to find words that are different. I used Invictus the other day, and I love that word because it had so much staying power with me, because it spoke to the spirit of Nelson Mandela, and how, regardless of everything that was taken away from him, they could never take away the fact that he was still believing in the idea that apartheid was wrong and he was right in his position. And sometimes that's how we take on new things. The fact that we know we can do it. It may take us a minute to figure it out, but we do. So that's how I got Macgyver and Invictus. But we're going to come up with some new words, and hopefully you're adding words to your own vocabulary just by the fact that one word leads to other words. The other words leads to conversations. Conversations leads to your ability to write, to read, and to me, be able to have a word in a book. So I'm ultimately saying that all of you have a book in you. As my girlfriend says, don't die with a book in you. That's Lavinda Shidrick Williams. So anyway, I want y'all to have a wonderful day. I thank you so much for coming. You don't have to do any kind of payment of anything, but if you would just share this, that would be wonderful. I'm seeing I've been picking up people, average about 38 to 40 people a month. So I'm happy with that, and I would just like to continue. A lot of people read it after, because I know I'm on during the hour that some people can't come, but I appreciate you all, every single one of you. I want you to have a Macgyver day, a Macgyver moment, and then go on out and work on whatever it is, or work in the house on whatever it is that you think that you couldn't do, but you can. I love you, love you, love you. And I'm going to see you soon. I appreciate you. On Friday, I'll be here with another word. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Invictus, right? Invictus. Thank you, too.